Hi everyone, welcome to today's lectures on neural networks. Outline today we're going to go over the background, the motivation of neural networks, some terminology in neural networks. Then we're going to go over the main algorithm of the neural networks. And then finally we're going to just look over some examples and application and integration of models that build up from the neural networks. First, what is machine learning, right? In traditional programming, what you're going to do is you're going to explicitly instructions and rules on what the program should follow. So you would explicitly tell the program what to do step by steps, and you have if-else statement, you have for loop and whatnot. In a machine learning, instead of explicitly tell it, what you're going to do is you're going to let the program use existing data, and then it's going to create rules on its own. Right, so the approach is very different. An example in this is, let's say you classify news articles as a positive or negative news article. Right? In traditional programming, what you're going to do is you're going to list uh, the negative and positive words, and then you make an algorithm that find the negative and positive words in the articles, and then you're going to take the weight, them out, and then you compute, and then you give the result. That is the article is a positive or negative, right? In machine learning, what you're going to do is you're going to provide the articles, a bunch of articles with the label. Is it good or is it a bad article? And then the model is going to analyze the data that you just give it. And finally, is at the end of the training, is going to be able to predict the next article. Right? You feed in a new article, it's going to tell you, is it a good, is it positive, or is this a negative article? So next, we're going to go over the terminology in machine learning. So there's this all the buzzword around, right? But the biggest bubble is like the overall umbrella is artificial intelligence, or AI. AI is basically just any machine that has some form of intelligence, kind of. So one example is the Deep Blue is the first computer to beat a world chess champion in 1997, right? So it's able to play chess, some kind of human intelligence, but it doesn't necessarily learn from its own experience. So that's what we have next. So in the subset of AI, we have machine learning. Machine learning from its the name itself mean a machine that can learn, right? An example of this is a simple chatbot that can learn, right? So example is if we ask what is 1 plus 1, and then the machine say, I don't know, what is it? And then we teach it, oh, it is 2. And then the machine learn it, right? It get it. Then now when the next time when we ask it what is 1 plus 1, then this chatbot gonna learn from the experience, right? And then it's gonna know that 1 plus 1 is 2. So it's basically a machine that can learn from the past or from the data that you teach it. And it doesn't have to be, there's many ways to do this. Sometimes it's efficient, sometimes it's not efficient. Sometimes it works for certain case and algorithm, but it doesn't work for the other context. So what we have, the next step, a subset of machine learning. So one way that machine can learn is deep learning. And deep learning is the algorithm that helps machine to learn. And this algorithm is mimic the human brain, the neural networks in the human brain. That's why we have the deep neural networks. Yeah, and it's biological inspired from neuron. That's why it had this name over here. So in a deep neural networks, uh, you have the input layers, right? So you have these each of this circle is called a node or a neuron, and then you can see that uh, every if you look at a neuron in a next layer, is connected from every single neurons from the previous layer. So they are fully connected. And then at the end, this layer is called the output layer. It's the outputs of the neural networks. In between these layers, they are called hidden layers. And also, you call it deep neural networks. The deep mean that you have multiple hidden layers. So if you only have an input layer and an output layer, then it's not a deep neural network. Deep means multiple hidden layer. Right? And also, just a note here, a dense neural networks is usually not a complete model. Is usually it's a fundamental model, and there's a lot of other model that's more complete that they use the neural network, so they build on top of neural networks. Right? So it by itself isn't very powerful, but when you combine with other things, it's become very nice thing. All right. Next, we're gonna go over the main algorithm. But before that, I'm gonna quickly review what I just say. So it's a vocab quiz. So this layer is called the input layer, right? And then this layer is called the output layer. And then the layer in between, they are called hidden layer. And then this thing, I haven't told you, but the connection between the neuron in one layer to another layer, these connections are called a weight, right? So now we're going to zoom in into a single neuron, and we're going to see how a single neuron is calculated. And so I have a star over here, which means this is the main takeaway from these lectures. So, the whole lectures, there's a lot of things in the lectures, but if you're going to memorize a single thing from this lectures, it's going to be this slide right here. Okay. So a neuron calculation, how do you determine the value of the neuron in the next layer, right? So this value is calculated is equal to the linear combination of all the neurons in the previous layer with the weight, and then you add the bias, and then you get this value. Okay, so again, this is the linear combination of all the neurons in the previous layer with the weight, then you add the bias, right? What do I mean by linear combination? It's going to be N1 times W1 plus N2 times W2 plus N3 times W3. Then you add the bias, so this line over here, right? And then you run it through an activation function, and then you get the value of the next neuron. And now the question is, why do we need an activation function in between, right? And the answer to that is, if you look at this is a linear combination, right? So it's linear, and then you add a bias, which is also linear. And so in the case that the data is non-linear, but all the computation here is linear, so it's not going to fit the data very well. And what we do is we run it through an activation function. So it's like a transformation. So if the data is linear, it's going to transform it to still linear. If the data is non-linear, this activation is going to transform it to also to non-linear, so it match the data. Yeah, some common activation function you're going to see is sigmoid. Sigmoid is going to map from 0 and 1. 10H is going to go from -1 to 1. Rectify linear activation function. This is going to be, if it's less than 0, it's going to be 0. If it's greater than 0, it's going to be the same value. And then because this one at 0 sometimes, it creates some weird behavior. And so that's why we have the Licky rectify linear activation function, which make this go negative a little bit to avoid the 0. In this case, we're going to run an example, right? So remove its actual numbers. So let's say the previous layer is 1, 3, and 5. The weight is 2, 6, and 10. And the bias 7. What we're going to do is we're going to do a linear combination. So 1 times 2, right? 3 times 6, 5 times 10. And then you add the bias at 7. And then you compute this, you're going to get 77. And then you run through an activation function, right? Which is the rectify linear activation function. So 77 is greater than 0, so we're going to keep it the same value. So it's going to be 77, right? So this is how a single neuron in the neural networks is calculated. This is also the main takeaway. And then the rest isn't as important, but I'm going to cover them anyway. So this is the backpropagation. So how do you train the model, right? So the way you train the model is basically you get the output of the model, uh, and then you compare the output with the actual data, the label data, and then you find the error, and you see what the error is. You send the error back to neurons, and you do it backwards. It's called backpropagation. And then you find the gradient of error with respect to each the weight, and then you're gonna chain the weight and the bias. The weight is the connection, the weight and the bias of the neural networks until you get an output that have small error compared to actual data. So in a way, if you put this in an optimization problem, you basically minimize the error or minimize the loss function by varying the weight and the bias in the neural networks. This is a multimodal unconstrained problem, right? And is actually very complicated. Has a lot of global local minimum, and it's hard to find the global minimum. And usually in optimization, we would do gradient descent, and then we find the KKT condition and whatnot. But there are two problems with this problem is that it has too many variables, so it's computationally expensive. And just so you know how many variables this is, you can have, because it's fully connected, that's the problem. So there's a lot of weight, a lot of connection, and it can easily go up to millions and millions of variables, right? And to compute the gradient is already very expensive. Not even the Hessian, right? So the second derivative is even more expensive. And the second problem, which is common even now, is there's too many local minimum and saddle point, and then you don't really know which one is the global minimum. And so the algorithm that they usually use for machine learning is stochastic gradient descent. It's computationally cheap. It's not as accurate at gradient descent, but it's very cheap, so you can run a lot of them. So you run a less quality, but then you can run a lot of them. So that's nice. And then also you have the stochastic aspect of it. So you have certain a matter of randomness, which helps a lot with like saddle points and stuff. So it can jump around and avoid to be stuck in that zero slope. All right. And finally, I'm going to go over some application examples, some other models that build on top of neural networks. You don't have to understand all of this, but I'm just showing you that this is a convolutional networks, which is a model that can recognize image, right? And there's a bunch of things happening here, but you look at this section right here on the right, you can see these are fully connected layer, and these are just the neural networks that I just teach you, right? Or on autoencoder. If you look at autoencoder, this is it's basically just a neural networks, but just with the manipulation in the architecture of the neural networks, right? So you can see the layer is decreased in dimension until the bottleneck, and then it increased in dimension until the output. But it's still it's the same idea of neural networks. It's just manipulation somehow. Or GANs model, these generative adversarial networks. This is a very famous generative AI model that can generate very realistic data. And the idea of this is basically a fight between two AI. And if you look at the AI, they basically are neural networks. Right? Okay, so let's conclude the lectures today. Thank you for listening and your attention.